I think I am finally back on my routine. Ever since Legoland, like 2 weeks ago, the diet was off, I couldn't work out, and I was basically a day or two behind. So I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to do any rest days, and I'm just gonna keep working out until I get caught up. So I think I am finally caught up, especially with my training, and my diet is getting cleaner. This is my 5th day in a row that I work out. I don't usually work out 5 days in a row. Usually my split, what I find actually the best split for me, and it may be for you as well, and I think this is gonna be beneficial for the majority of the people, is do 3 days on. So you're gonna work out, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 day off. So that would be Thursday. Train Friday, Saturday. So that's 2 days back on, and then Sunday take off. I find that usually after that 3rd day of training, your body really needs to recover. And that's where you make the most progress, is when you're recovering. It's what you do when you go home. Look, you can train for hours and hours in the gym. You're never gonna get the weight loss results that you really want unless you clean up your diet. So I wanna talk a little bit about my diet, how I've cleaned it up, and I wanna talk about which is better, counting calories or intermittent fasting. So I've actually done both. And if you're not familiar with who I am, maybe you're new to my channel, some of you have been watching me every day, so you probably have heard this story, but I am an intermittent keto fasting coach. I got my physique that I have today through keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting, and strength training. And I did this all the way back in 2018. I was hovering at 243 pounds. I was really overweight, sluggish. I mean, it was a horrible time in my life in 2018. I decided, you know what, that's it, I've had enough. So I started dabbling with the keto diet and intermittent fasting, which we're gonna be talking about. And I actually counted my calories as well. Doing all of those things, I lost 70 pounds in 7 months. And through that transformation, a lot of people saw my before and after pictures and they wanted to do what I did. So through that, my Keto Shed 40 coaching program was born. If you want more information on that, I'll put a link in the description of this video. It'll take you to another video to kind of explain more in detail as to how I could potentially help you and whether you and I would be a good fit, all right? So let's talk about the difference between calorie counting, intermittent fasting, which one's best. I mean, there's all forms of intermittent fasting. Calorie counting is simply calorie counting. You're just counting your calories, but which one actually works best, all right? Now, I'm gonna explain to you in detail as to what I've done and what were my results. But before I do that, I wanna show you exactly what I'm gonna be eating today. So today, well, let's back up. Let's back up and let me just explain how I got off track and how I've got on track. What's my weight? I know I didn't weigh myself, or actually I did weigh myself today, but I didn't film it. So obviously you guys saw, if you haven't seen, we went on like a 3-day trip to Legoland. I was, eating whatever I wanted. I gained I think it was like 9-10 pounds or something like that. I got back. And this past Saturday, we celebrated my mother and my sister-in-law's birthday. So we went to Rodozio's and I gained I think I gained like 6 or 7 pounds after that as well. So Saturday, actually it was Sunday morning. I think I woke up and I was about 189. So I decided, let me just do fasting all day, just do a complete water fast. And then Monday morning when I woke up, I was 184.1. So I dropped about 5-6 pounds on Monday. Now, Tuesday, which was yesterday, I went to like 184.4. Today I'm 184.7. So the scale is slowly creeping up, but it's pretty much staying the same. And your body's gonna fluctuate day to day, hour to hour due to hydration, dehydration. If you're eating a lot of carbs, that's going to hold water. So really, I'm not really gaining weight. I'm kind of maintaining. I mean, I basically gained 6 ounces since Monday, which is nothing. And I'll tell you why. What I ate yesterday, I had, let's see, what did I have? I trained fasted. So I did go to the gym fasted. I had a pre-workout, which I was trying to get away from the caffeine when I was doing the sugar diet. I got rid of all the caffeine and was drinking orange juice. But let me just show you real quick the pre-workout I was having. So basically, I like the Ghost drinks that are in a can, but I also have some Ghost powder. This has beta-alanine in it, which if you don't like beta-alanine, if you ever get that tingling feeling like in your ears and your whole body's tingling, that's the beta-alanine. I kind of like that feeling. Some people don't. But this one here is, I don't think I have my glasses out here. Actually, I do. Hold on one second. We're gonna get to the fasting and the calorie counting in just a second. I just wanna kind of explain like what's been my routine lately. So this has calories 0, all right? It has a lot of caffeine, beta alanine. So basically 0 calories. So basically I'm still in a fasted state. This is 0 calories. So I drink this before I go to the gym. So that's the very first thing, is this Ghost drink. When I come home, I've been drinking also Ghost protein, okay? So I've been taking this after the workout. So I had this, as soon as I got home, I had this. This is only 150 calories. I mean, that's not a lot at all, but it does have 25 grams of protein. Carbohydrates, it's only 7, so it's actually pretty low. Then after that, I had 3 of these rice cakes. Now you may be wondering, like, why did I eat this after the workout? Shouldn't you eat this before the workout? Because this gives you the sugar and the carbs to fuel your body. Well, you can also eat stuff like this, starch and sugars, after your workout, because your body's more in a position to uptake those nutrients. So you're not gonna like store it as fat. It's gonna go directly into your muscles because you wanna fill up your glucose, your glycogen in your muscles after having a hard workout. So I had 3 of these with the blueberry jam. Now, this blueberry jam, actually, let's go back to the rice cakes. I wanna see how many calories this is. Just giving you guys a rundown of what I did exactly yesterday, and then we'll talk about what I'm gonna do today. Calories on a rice cake for 35 calories. Let's see how many carbs. 7 grams of carbs. So it's almost the same as actually the protein shake was 7 grams of carbs. So this is still very low in calorie, very low in carbohydrates, but I did have 3 of them. So 35 times 3, 105, right? 35, 30, 70, yeah, about 105 grams or 105 calories, sorry. Then I put some of the blueberry jam on the rice cakes. And for this one, which I really like the taste of this blueberry, all fruit, spreadable fruit blueberry, 35 calories, same as the rice cake for 1 tablespoon. So I probably put 3 of those on there. So let's see, 105 and 105, 210. So these two together are about 210 calories. So that's what I had after the workout. But then I had 1 bowl of Fruity Pebbles cereal. Now, why am I eating Fruity Pebbles cereal? This is what I had during my sugar diet, all right? I wanted to get rid of all that stuff. I got rid of all my candy. I ate it. I didn't throw it away. I got rid of the nerds. I got rid of the marshmallows. I'm not doing all that sugar stuff anymore. I got rid of the cereal, so I basically had 1 bowl left, all right? But I'm probably still gonna do the rice cakes and the jam. I think that's really good for a pre-workout. Maybe I'll do some orange juice. That's probably good too. But lately I've been training fasted, like I said, and I've been eating all this stuff after the workout because like I said, your body's more primed to uptake those nutrients. Then after that, for lunch, and I still have some in the fridge, which it's almost gone, I had 2 chicken breasts and I had a side salad, a really big side salad, and I was done eating by 2:30. I thought, let me just cut my food off by 2:30 and let's see if I lose weight. Well, I'm pretty much staying the same. I was kind of surprised because cutting your meal off by 2:30 and I went to bed around 10. I mean, that's like 6-7 hours of digesting food. I thought I was gonna wake up lighter, but I will tell you, salad will bloat you. Not really concerned about the weight. It's eventually gonna come off, whatever, all right? Now, let's go to calorie counting and intermittent fasting. I did not count the calories, but I did apply intermittent fasting. I basically front loaded all my food at the beginning of the day. This is called ETRF, early time restricted feeding. And what I found is you can pretty much get away with eating whatever you want as long as you cut your food off before 2 p.m. and as long as you don't overdo it, you can lose weight. Now, I know I just said I didn't lose weight by cutting my meal off at 2, and that's probably a result of just retaining some water. I had a lot of carbohydrates yesterday. I had salad. A lot of that stuff will kind of bloat you. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go ahead and have this. I'm gonna have the rice cakes with the blueberry jam. And then when I come home, I'm just gonna have the protein shake. That's probably a better way to do it because you want the sugars to fuel your workout. So that's why I'm gonna have the jam and the rice cakes. I come home, I'm gonna wait about 30 minutes to an hour because I want my body to kind of go through the recovery phase. I don't wanna just start pounding food immediately after the workout, which basically that is a myth. You do know that. There is no such thing as an anabolic window. What is more important is that you get the proper amount of protein within the day. It doesn't matter. it's not like you're gonna lose all your gains and all your progress because you didn't have your protein shake 30 minutes after your workout. So you can wait an hour, 2 hours, you're gonna be just fine. So we're gonna have this. After that, I'm probably gonna finish my chicken breast. I gotta finish that because the longer it stays in that fridge, it's getting older and older and I don't want it to spoil, and it was really good chicken. And then once that chicken is gone, I'm gonna start going back to eating eggs again. I really miss eating eggs. All right. So that's basically how I'm gonna approach the day. So what actually is better? Is it gonna be calorie counting or intermittent fasting? Like I told you, I've done both. So let's just break it down, okay? Some people like to eat throughout the day and they like counting their calories, which I have done that, but it's a drudgery. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Logging everything in your app, tracking every single thing, it kind of sucks sometimes. But sometimes you gotta do it because I think a good idea is to track everything that you eat every day, but don't try to do it for weight loss. Just track what a normal day looks like, and that's gonna give you kind of a bird's eye view as to how many calories you're eating within that day. So basically just eat what you want, do what you normally do, track it, and see where you end up at the end of the day. This will kind of give you an idea as to are you overeating or undereating? Because what I can tell you, if you're eating above your calories, I don't care what diet it is. I don't care if you're doing keto, carnivore, Mediterranean, sugar diet, sugar fasting, all this stuff, you are going to gain weight if you're going above what your body requires, okay? It is what it is. It's gonna happen, all right? Even if you do intermittent fasting, let's say you're doing like OMAD. I know you've seen some of these YouTube videos where they do these mukbang type of videos where they're just like eating like 10,000 calories, but they're probably eating that food in one sitting. You're gonna gain weight because you're eating 5,000 to 10,000 calories plus all that glycogen, sugar, and glucose. You're getting bloated. And you ever notice a lot of these guys are pretty skinny that do these mukbang videos? It's kind of crazy. And I used to do this too. Like I used to cheat once a weekend when I did my keto diet back in 2018. When I got to my goal, I would cheat every Sunday eating about 5,000 calories. And I mean anything you want. Donuts, pizza, ice cream. I was doing those mukbang type of things myself, all right? So calorie counting, it works. If you want to do it, it works, but it's a drudgery and I don't like doing it. And all this year, I never really tracked my calories. I may have mentioned a couple times that a good sweet spot for a lot of guys, I will tell you, if you're like 200 pounds or more, and if you want to lose weight fast, 1,800 is like the sweet spot for a lot of guys. You will drop weight fast. If you start going any lower than that for any length of time, you're going to stall your metabolism and you don't want to do that. I've been there where I started cutting my calories like to 1,600, 1,400, and eventually you back yourself up against a corner and now you got nowhere to go. All right, so you don't want to do that, all right? Now with intermittent fasting, what I like about intermittent fasting is you're kind of going in a calorie deficit by accident, all right? So I would rather do intermittent fasting and kind of eat in a window, and you know yourself better than I do. You may be someone where you can consume 2,000 calories in one sitting and you're not gonna lose weight, all right? So you're gonna have to use some form of discipline in your eating window. I can eat a lot of food in one sitting. I can definitely eat 3,000 calories in one sitting, no problem, because I love food just as much as the next guy, all right? So there's several ways that you can do intermittent fasting. You can do OMAD. That's a very popular one where you do one meal a day. I did this for many, many times. And the best way I believe to do OMAD is to do ETRF. Have that one meal early in the day. Does it make sense to eat OMAD toward the end of the night when your body doesn't need all those calories? Because most people are sitting on the couch, they're watching TV, they're relaxing, and they're less active. So why would you want to like consume all your calories at night as opposed to in the morning, you're more active. You go to your workout, you go to your job, you're doing yard work. You're just mobile, you're moving around. So your body's going to go through those calories. So it's best to front load the majority of your calories early in the day. Now, if you want to have a little something at the evening time because you're kind of getting hungry because maybe you ate at like 10 or 11 a.m. and you're like, by the time it's 9 o'clock, you're like starving. Okay, you can have a little snack as long as you don't overdo it, all right? So that's one form of intermittent fasting is OMAD. The standard one that people start with is like that whole 16-8 where they're fasting for 16 hours and they're eating in an 8-hour eating window. I'm not really a big fan of that one because typically people are eating too late. They're eating at like, 12 p.m. is their first meal. maybe they're eating at like 3 or 4, and then they're eating at 8 p.m., which that's when the sun starts to go down. I know here in Florida, it's like 8:30 is when the sun starts to set. You really don't want to consume, like I said, too many calories at the end of the day because your body's preparing for sleep. It's all based on your circadian rhythms, all right? So I'm not a big fan of 16:8. However, I like the reverse. I kind of like the 18:6. This is where you're fasting for 18 hours and you're eating in a 6-hour eating window. And I'll tell you a really good one that could probably work for anyone. You're just skipping breakfast and having lunch and dinner. Eat at 12, last meal at 6. Very, very easy to do. Or maybe you want to do a 12 and a 3 because you don't want to eat too late in the day. 6 o'clock is, technically dinner time. But if you really want to see results, front load those calories early in the day. So you could do like a 12 and a 3. Another popular one that I did, I think it's similar to the warrior diet where it's the 20 and the 4. So you're fasting in a you're fasting for 20 hours and you're eating in a 4-hour eating window. So if you notice, you keep shortening that window, right? You keep compressing it. So the one I did that was very, very popular, first meal at 1, second meal at 5. That one worked really well back in 2018 when I was doing my keto diet. That's exactly how I did it. I did keto, I did the 20 and the 4, so first meal at 1, second meal at 5. Obviously, I did some strength training, and that's how I lost the 70 pounds in 7 months. I mean, that's all it was. Keto, first meal at 1, second meal at 5, strength training. That simple. And then, of course, when I got to my goal, I was doing those mukbang things where I was pounding the calories, 5,000 calories on a weekend on a Sunday, okay? That's pretty much it with the fat. Now, you could do alternate day fasting. That's another popular one. In fact, I tried that this year. I did what was called an alternate egg fast. So this is exactly how I did it. I would eat 500 calories one day, consisting of just 5 eggs with butter. That ended up being 500 calories. The next day, I would eat normal, 1,800 calories. And I did this, and that helped me lose weight as well. All right? So that's another one that you could do is alternate day fasting. So at the end of the day, you got to figure out which one's going to work best for you. Do you feel good about counting calories? I will tell you, it's a great tool. It does work. Or would you just you love the feeling of intermittent fasting, you like training fasted, you love the energy that you get from fasting, and you like to consume the majority of your calories within a eating window. If you like that, I know I do, then opt for that. So just play around with it. See which one works best for you. I'm not a big fan of eating 4 to 5 meals a day where you're kind of spreading it all out, because what happens is those meals are pretty small. But you could accidentally make those meals pretty big, and guess what happens? You're over your calories, you're not gonna lose weight, you're probably gonna gain weight. All right. So really, when it comes to calorie counting and intermittent fasting, you're kind of accidentally going into a caloric deficit. That's typically what happens as long as you use discipline and you don't overdo the amount of food that you're going to eat. All right. So in a way, they're kind of the same. All right. So do you want to do the drudgery of counting calories, or do you want to do intermittent fasting where you're going to be put in a calorie deficit by accident? All right. Me personally, yes, I did count my calories because I wanted to see how many calories was I consuming. That kind of gave me a baseline as to what I was eating. But then after that, I will tell you, I haven't been counting calories at all. I've just been eating when I'm hungry. I try to make sure I don't eat too later in the day, and I try to stay very, very active. So if you want the freedom of being able to eat whatever diet you're on, keto, carnivore, sugar dieting, Mediterranean diet, whatever it is you want to do, if you want the freedom to eat foods that you really enjoy, but you're still on a weight loss journey, do intermittent fasting. That gives you more freedom than being tied to your app on your phone. You're kind of calculating everything, all right? That's what I'm gonna personally do. I'm going to front load my calories early in the day because I know I'm gonna burn through that, and I think that's gonna give me more freedom to essentially eat things that I want. Let's say I go off the plan. You know what? Intermittent fasting works so well. I'll be going on vacation at the end of July, going on a cruise. Do you think I'm really going to be, counting everything that I'm going to eat? Well, I have no idea what the calories are on the food on the cruise. So what I'm going to do when I go on vacation, I'm probably going to eat foods that I really enjoy, and I'm probably going to go off the plan. I'm not going to be doing any type of diet like keto, carnivore, sugar. I'm not going to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to eat reasonably I'm gonna do what's called mindful eating, okay? I'm gonna use a little bit of discipline and restraint. I'm just not gonna overdo it, but I will apply intermittent fasting. So when I go on that cruise, you know how people are, right? They're getting on that boat, they wanna eat a big breakfast, right? And of course you do have the sit-down dinners, but if you notice those sit-down dinners, the portion sizes are kind of small. Even though you can keep ordering off the menu as much as you want, if you just stick to the menu, they're pretty small sizes, and make sure you eat early in the day. We made our reservations for like 5:30. You can eat all the way up till 8. I definitely don't want to do the sit-down dinners at 8. I'd rather do them early in the day. So that's how I can approach and how you can approach when you're traveling, going on vacation. Apply a lot of intermittent fasting and then give yourself a break. Go off the plan. Eat what you want. As long as you apply intermittent fasting and you're fasting like for 18 hours and then you just eat in a 6-hour eating window, I think you're gonna do just fine and you're not gonna gain any weight. All right, so I hope this video helps someone. If you like this video, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and always hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I'll see you tomorrow.